Hey guys, I'm Sarah Dusso. Welcome to another episode of Fitness to Influence. I'm really excited about today's episode. Today, I'm talking about the biggest mistakes that my clients make that prevent them from seeing results, or rather, achieving their goals. I see myself in a lot of these. We're going to go through 8 different mistakes that people make. And you know what? Some of them are interchangeable, but I really think you guys are going to love this episode. So let's get right into it. We're going to talk about the top mistakes that my clients make that prevent them from reaching their goals. I have been working with clients for over a decade, maybe 16 years now, specifically as a coach for 6 years. And a lot of the same problems come up. And I recognize them. They were issues that I myself had as well. So I know that these mistakes are coming from a place of good intention, but I always try to remind my clients, if what you were doing was working, why did you decide to make a shift? What ultimately led you to sign up with me? And what's keeping you from trying something new, from letting go of what you once believed and now actually trusting me and being okay with getting out of your comfort zone? I know it can be really tough. Small, little shifts lead to big changes. I know you've heard that before. Quick story that I want to share with you about myself before I get into them. I was the poster child for cardio queen, eat as little as you could, and you thought that would lead to lasting weight loss. That method can lead to weight loss, but it's not sustainable, okay? Unless you enjoy being a hangry bitch, if you will. I can say that. I think it's a podcast, so I can say that here. I would have these photo shoots that I would want to look super lean and ripped and cut for. So what I would do before these photo shoots, I would cut out gluten, I would cut out dairy, I would stop drinking, I would eat very low carb. I wasn't tracking protein, so I definitely probably wasn't eating enough protein either. I was probably eating between 1,000 and 1,200 calories, and it would work until the photo shoot was over. And then any type of self-control that I had somehow mustered up would vanish, would disappear. And it would result in this type of a cycle where I would then kind of go all out, and then I would feel bad about myself, and then I would try to go and work out again to try to recover. And it was just this cycle. And it wasn't until I started tracking my macros, seeing how much I actually needed to eat, getting out of that cardio mindset, that I was able to hit a goal, feel good about how I looked, and not fall back into this rut again, this mistake. I shouldn't say mistake, this pattern of perfection and then falling off and then trying to be perfect again, because it really just did a number on my self-esteem. When I look back at my Instagram and my blog, and for those of you listening, I was one of the very first fitness YouTubers. I never worked out in just a sports bra. And if I did, I was very self-conscious, and you can kind of tell. All of a sudden, once I had Tommy, I started having some self-confidence. That was 2016. But I had been a YouTuber since like 2008. So that was a solid 8 years of having zero self-confidence of this cycle. I will say, when I did the photo shoots, I did have a sports bra on, but as soon as those photo shoots were over, I would put it back on. So this is going to go into my first mistake, under eating. Now, this is probably a no-brainer. Many of you are like, yeah, no kidding. But this actually, it works in reverse, how people think it does. So when you seriously restrict your calories, and maybe you're skipping meals, maybe you're skipping protein, not only are you limiting your calories, but you're also limiting your ability to build muscle. You may even lose muscle. So when you eat a really calorie restricted diet, you're losing weight that's fat and muscle. Sometimes people will do these programs. They'll be like, oh, I lost 5 pounds like in 1 week. Most of that is water weight. But when you long term do a really serious calorie restrictive diet, you are losing muscle. When you lose this muscle, your metabolism is now slower. That is a hard truth that people don't understand. And it's really difficult to kind of get people to accept that if you are eating too little, and by too little, I mean under your basal metabolic rate. Basal metabolic rate is basically the minimum number of calories that your body needs to like function and operate properly, right? When we restrict our calories beyond this, and that doesn't even count the calories of you working out. That doesn't count the calories of your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, like the calories that you are required to like go to the store, and they say like park far away from the grocery store. Like those are NEAT calories that take you to walk from your car to the grocery store. Walking up and down your stairs, like, oh my gosh, we forgot this, going back up, coming back down. Oh my God, I left my phone up there, going back up. That BMR doesn't even count those calories. So when you are severely restricting yourself, you are not only losing fat, but you're losing muscle. And in turn, what that's going to do is eventually it is going to wreak havoc on your hormones. It's also going to contribute to muscle loss, and that is going to reduce your metabolism. This also causes fatigue, it causes mood swings, and it causes cravings. This was me. I would try to eat as little as I could during the day, and then after dinner, I would genuinely be hungry. And as a result, because it's after dinner, I would go for something like desserty. And I had these immense sugar cravings as a result of not eating enough carbohydrates or protein. And it just ends up being a cycle. The solution: find out what your target macros should be. Once you are a client, we give you a new client assessment and we tell you what your target macros should be. If you're not a current client, I have resources. I'll put one down in the show notes so you can kind of get an idea of what your target macros should look like. Once you have an idea, these are targets that it is recommended that you hit. Again, before I joined my program, I was trying to eat too little for my body. I was doing Barry's boot camp classes. Those are like 600 calorie burning workouts. And I was still trying to eat 1,200, 1,400 calories. You can bet I was a moody bitch. You can bet that I had sugar cravings. My body was inflamed. And looking back at lab work, I also had a really shitty thyroid, which made it even harder for me to maintain the weight that I was at. It was hard to maintain 140 pounds back then. That's what I weigh now, and I'm very happy. I eat what I want. I do minimal exercise, meaning 5 days a week. I work out for 30 minutes, and I'm very happy and confident. Back then, I felt like I was bloated. I felt puffy, very different. Solution: eat enough. Make sure that you are eating enough protein. One thing that my clients struggle with here too is that they do too big of a fasting window, so that they just can't eat all their food into the short window that they deem they need to do. So in the Faster Way, headquarters recommends, a 16-8 or a 12-12 split. And everybody hears that 16-8 protocol, meaning you're fasting for 16 hours and you're eating within an 8-hour window. So like noon to 8 p.m. I have a client that I was just texting with, and she's like, I am too full. I feel like I am forcing food, at the end of the day. And I took a look, and her macros are not too high. They're where she should be, really. They're on the lower end for most of my clients. And I said, we need to open up your window. If you can't fit all of your macros in your window, then you need to open it up, because undereating is going to lead to these other effects. So I would rather you have a bigger feeding window. To be honest, most of my clients aren't doing a 16-hour intermittent fasting window. They're doing 12 hours. But if you struggle to fit all of your macros in, you need to widen that. Mistake number 2. I've already alluded to this a little bit. The second biggest mistake that my clients make, and usually this is before they come to me, is overdoing cardio and avoiding strength training. So this is probably my favorite client to get. I love getting the cardio bunnies who haven't been strength training, who haven't been resistance training. So what these clients are doing is that they're prioritizing cardio over strength because it burns more calories. They also have a fear of bulking up. I know. If you're listening to this, you couldn't tell that my eyes just bugged out of my head. as women, you are not going to bulk up unless that is a intentional goal that you have and you have been given a specific, program protocol to do that. But no one who follows the program that I do is going to bulk up. You genetically just aren't capable of doing that. And if you are genetically, there's other things going on. But that aside, okay, you're not going to bulk up. Here's why focusing on cardio over strength is a problem. Cardio, sure, burns calories in the moment, but strength training builds muscle that will burn calories long term. Lacking muscle is going to impact your metabolism and your overall body composition. When I was a cardio bunny, I was burning a lot of calories, but I didn't know how to properly fuel my body. This caused those sugar cravings. This caused those mood swings. When I'm listing these problems, it's not usually like one problem. It's kind of a combination of all of them. So usually before clients come to me, they think that to lose weight, they just need to burn more calories, eat less, exercise more. They don't realize there is more to that problem. And so they're focusing just on cardio. If you are focusing just on cardio, you need to shift your train of thought from the goal is burning calories during a workout. No, the goal should be maintaining, building lean muscle. And you also want to get the benefits of exercise. So you want your heart rate a little bit elevated. We don't need it to be sky high. I'm going to talk about that later. But your goal, especially if you're a perimenopausal woman, should be to be banking your muscle. What that means is maintaining through eating enough protein, as well as building. Those should be your two goals. So if you are prioritizing your cardio over strength training, you need to take a look at how many strength training sessions you're doing a week compared to cardio. Because of course, if you're not doing any workouts, something is better than nothing, right? But if you are able to work out, I would love to see you doing 3 to 4 days of strength training, 1 to 2 days of cardio or HIIT. Strength training, though, should be the priority. If you only have time to work out 2 times a week, I would rather you be doing strength training. Again, the best workout is going to be the workout that you actually want to do. But if long-term health is the goal, strength training, resistance training should be your priority over just cardio, especially if weight loss is your goal. Mistake number 3, the all or nothing mentality. I have clients sign up for my program all the time. I shouldn't say at least a couple a session. And they respond, I got overwhelmed. I didn't do anything. It is like the worst message to receive 2 weeks into the program, because had these clients reached out sooner, I would have broken things down and I would have said, if you are feeling overwhelmed, we're going to focus on two things. We're going to reduce the ultra processed foods from our diet. We're going to start eating more fruits and vegetables and lean meats, like cooking meals at home. We're going to just reduce the processed foods. And maybe we're just going to hit our steps. Like, are those 2 things? Like, I would work with each individual client to find 2 things that they could actually focus on doing that would be a sustainable change. Sometimes people have this perfectionist mindset. If I can't do it perfectly, I'm not going to do it at all. This leads to inconsistency. It causes guilt and frustration when you mess up. What we focus on with my clients and my groups is progress over perfection. Small and consistent efforts add up over time. I know a lot of you know this. Progress over perfection. What does progress look like? It could look like having only 1 cookie after dinner versus 4 or 5. Progress could also look like exercising for 15 minutes, 4 days a week versus none. It doesn't have to be that full 30-minute workout. I saw a lot of people after New Year's posting like, first hour-long workout of like the year, I haven't worked out in forever. And I'm like, why would you do an hour-long workout? If you haven't exercised in forever, why would you do an hour-long workout? Like, let's just do, 15, 20, 30 minutes. All of my clients, we get rid of the perfection mindset. You do not need to be perfect to be successful. I was just on another friend's podcast and I was sharing how I remember thinking at the end of the day, like maybe I had like a cookie and just being like, oh, I didn't move closer towards my goals today. And back then, that was because I ate something that I deemed less than ideal. Now, if that had happened, I would never think that. I would be like, dude, I don't know why I'm just saying dude to myself, but girl, I crushed my strength workout and I built lean muscle. And I am preserving my muscle. My ultimate goal is to be a strong grandma so that I can play with my grandkids. I can like take care of my grandkids if my children like need the help. I can do it. I am able-bodied. And by prioritizing myself and getting in my workout today, I did get closer to that goal. I am still on track to be the badass grandma that can take care of her grandkids. It has shifted. And I really try to encourage my clients to kind of start to adopt that shift. So don't let that be you. Mistake number 4, not prioritizing recovery. All of these that I'm saying are just like me in a nutshell, like 2013, 2014 Sarah Fit, like all of them. My rest used to be like a 90-minute hot yoga class at Back Bay Yoga. Like, what? Insane. The biggest mistake that my clients often make is not prioritizing their recovery. They're skipping their rest days. They're getting a lack of sleep. They are not prioritizing their sleep and they are pushing through fatigue. This is going to prevent your muscles from repairing and growing. When we sleep and on rest days is when our muscles grow and repair. If you are not taking rest days, when do you expect them to grow and repair and get stronger? It also is going to increase your risk of injury and burnout. Going back to my example of me in my berries heyday when I was an instructor, I'm literally like Puffy. I never took rest days. I was training for a marathon. I was taking berries. I was doing these like intense yoga workouts. I literally look like I am almost not swollen as in like that cortisol face we see on Instagram, but like I am just puffier. I'm like the same weight I am now, but like looking at me, you're like, ooh, what's going on? You're like, your body is inflamed. I did not take rest days. I was tired. I was moody. Granted, I was young, so I didn't have many injuries. Now, if I don't take rest days, if I get an injury, it is like forever. And so oftentimes I have clients who are never taking rest days and it starts to wreak havoc on their hormones. They are inflamed. Their body is almost like it's in this fight or flight mode. And they really need to shift their mindset of, again, burning calories, like let's go, and more rest and recovery. In the faster way, our priorities, the number one priority, we're like, look at it like a food pyramid. Down here, the base of your lifestyle should be your nutrition. You should prioritize eating good, real, whole, nutritious foods. Next is rest and recovery. People are shocked that number 2 is not like working out. Number 2 is rest and recovery. Everybody should be getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. Next is strength training. Then on top of that is HIIT or cardio. That's the order of the priorities. When we are not sleeping, and I know you guys who listen to this podcast know, it wreaks havoc on our hormones. If you've ever woken up really early for a flight, maybe you don't sleep before an early flight like me because you're nervous about missing it, I am starving the next day. Okay. And I also don't even want healthy food. That is because the lack of sleep has had an effect on my hormones. The specific hormones I'm talking about are leptin and ghrelin, the hunger and full, the hormones that let you know when you're hungry and the hormones that let you know you're full. I am hungry all day. I am insatiable when I don't get enough sleep. And I also crave like not healthy food, almost like I am when I'm hungover. And so I know that sleeping is so important for me because I can physically feel the effects on the days that I don't get a good night's sleep. And I know you guys have too, maybe you haven't realized it, but that's why it is so important to prioritize your rest and recovery so that your muscles can repair and heal and your hormones stay in a happy state. Number 5 is ignoring nutrition beyond calories. So we track macros in my program, but very often when a client's like, I'm hitting my macro goals, why am I not seeing results? I go in and I look, and it is still a lot of processed foods, and they are missing a lot of fruits and vegetables. Every single meal should be packed with fruits and vegetables. I know you know this, but still, I find that when people start getting consumed with tracking things, they lose focus. I actually had someone that was like, I'm going way over my fiber. What carbs are low in fiber? And I'm like, that is not a goal. That is not something you need to limit. Like, that's a target. We recommend the clients hit 25 grams of fiber every single day. If you go above that, that's amazing. We are not trying to limit your fiber necessarily. I mean, if you ate way too much, that might not feel good digestively, but the target is 25 grams. And it is crazy how much people struggle doing this. So a lot of clients will focus on the calories, not necessarily the nutrient quality. That is something that in the Faster Way we try to focus on. That's why we recommend tracking macros so that you actually know where the calories are coming from. But too often than not, people ignore honestly, it really is. It's the variety of food and specifically fruits and vegetables. Micronutrient deficiencies are going to affect your energy, your mood, your hormone health, and your gut microbiome. It is so important to eat the rainbow for your gut. I talk a lot about this in, other podcasts, but poor food quality is going to impact your gut health. And so it's very important to prioritize eating real, whole, nutrient-dense foods. I want you to eat a variety of colorful foods that are packed with fiber, healthy fats, as well as protein. But the most common time that I see this coming into play is when people are relying on like protein bars, or they're just eating foods that are packaged because the nutrition label is right there and it makes it a little bit easier to track for macros. And they just forget to eat like fruits and vegetables. Or I just had a client say, oh, the smoothie's really causing me to have too many carbs. And I said, well, then why don't you just use berries? Berries have a lot of fiber. They don't have as much carbohydrates. On low carb days, let's just skip the banana. And they were like, oh, that's a great idea. So it's very easy, working with a coach, you can, like, if you have a coach, you can text them, you can ask them, be like, hey, I'm struggling with this. Like, what do you recommend? But more often than not, when I see a client that is like, I'm hitting my macros and I'm not seeing results, it's because they have I don't want to say it's because they have a micronutrient deficiency, but they're definitely not eating a variety of fruits and vegetables, eating the rainbow. So if you are listening to this and you're like, what is going on? Look at your plate. Are you eating a lot of different fruits and vegetables? If not, that is a place to start. Mistake number 6, not setting clear, realistic goals. A lot of times clients will come to me and they'll say, I want to lose weight, or the goal is unrealistic. So what I recommend when you start any program is set SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. We are also going to celebrate the small wins along the way. In our program, every Friday, we celebrate small wins. That could be you did all the workouts that week. That could be hitting your steps. That could be drinking enough water. It could be hitting your protein goal, 2 of the days. Sometimes people have these unrealistic goals. They think they can spot reduce. They think they're going to see results in 2 or 3 weeks. True change comes from consistency. I know that's not sexy. I know that is boring. Depending on where you're coming from, it may take you longer than someone else. We all fall into this trap of comparison. We compare ourselves to other people. I'll have clients who are postpartum compared to a client that has been struggling to lose weight for 20 years. And the two people can't compare themselves because they are coming from 2 different starting points. And, a lot of times people get discouraged. They use the scale as a measure of success and they aren't seeing progress. But then I ask them to measure themselves with a measuring tape and they're like, oh my God, I have lost 17 inches. Granted, if someone loses 17 inches, they should see some movement on a scale, but it is not unheard of for me to have clients who lose 8, 10 inches on their body and they don't see a whole lot of movement on the scale. That's because muscle and fat take up they have different masses, but they have the same weight. So a lot of fat might not weigh a lot, okay? But muscle is really lean and dense and fat, more of a mass, a bigger mass, muscle, smaller mass, but weigh the same. So if you lose fat, It might not be as apparent on a scale if you've gained a little bit of muscle, but you will appear leaner. You will look leaner. Clothes will fit, be looser on you or more comfortably, if you will. And so I find that one of the biggest problems, one of the biggest mistakes that my clients make is that they have these huge goals and they just aren't patient. They aren't consistent enough because they do not have these SMART goals. You need to be clear and consistent and realize that it may take some time to hit these goals. It's not going to happen in 6 weeks. For most clients, they do not hit their goals in 6 weeks. And it is a mistake to think that you are going to quicker, because if you do, you are going to give up. You are never going to give yourself the chance to actually be successful. Mistake number 7, this is the last one, is understanding the power of mindset. You don't understand the power of mindset. We talk about this a lot in the Faster Way. A lot of clients have negative self-talk. They focus only on their flaws and they compare themselves to others. I talked about that a little bit in the one before. What happens is this demotivates you and increases your likelihood of giving up. It also prevents you from enjoying the process. How to change this, how to fix your mindset. Practice gratitude. Every day, write 3 things. What are you grateful for? This is kind of like the power of journaling. I know a lot of people love journaling. Self-compassion. I love to practice this in the form of mantras, doing yoga, finding a mantra that just like resonates with me and just like repeating it over and over. I firmly believe in the power of mantras and saying things out into the universe. I use this example, but like a few years ago, I was at a retreat with the Faster Way and I was with all the top coaches and everybody was making tons of money. And I was on the lower end of most of the top coaches. I was still doing well. But then when I heard what these other coaches were doing, I was like, holy shit, they are making like $1 million this year. That is not me, but I believe that I have the power to achieve this level of success. I have not made $1 million through the Faster Way yet, in a year at least, but I started believing in myself. And I was saying, my mantra was, I have the power to be reborn. I am worthy of success. I went through a period of time where I was like, I missed the boat. I missed the boat on capitalizing on my popularity on YouTube, and I'm never going to be able to get it back. And I really had to shift my mindset. And I would do yoga and I would do these mantras over and over again. I have the power. I am worthy of being reborn. I have the power to, restart again. I'm worthy of success. And I almost doubled my revenue that year. And I've consistently grown 20% every year, or more since then. And I really credit that with the power of manifestation and having a positive mindset versus being, the old me, which was like, I missed it. I missed out. I wasn't smart enough to capitalize on how to, be successful with this social media following. I grew so young and I just changed it. The other thing is focusing how to, harness the power of mindset is to work on building your confidence through action. Be consistent. Focus on progress over perfection. Focus on non-scale victories. This is going to help you keep going. When you want to stop, when you look back at all that you've accomplished so far, it's going to allow you to keep going. I know I said that was the last one, but I'm going to give one more, the 8th one. And this one is going to be a loaded one, but this is ignoring the idea that you may need additional help from someone outside of, diet and exercise. There is a lot of talk right now about the healthcare system. And we, as perimenopausal women, 35, to 55, our hormones are all over the place. And while we can optimize how we look and feel through eating a whole food diet and exercising and strength training, Sometimes we do need additional help and resources. Getting blood work done, checking in on our thyroid, getting our gut tested. What's going on? Do we have an overgrowth of gut bacteria? Do we need hormone replacement therapy? You know, these weight loss drugs. Sometimes we may need a little bit of an outside help. And sometimes I have clients who are just searching and searching and searching. Well, let's look at this two ways. Some clients want to go right to the doctor and they want a prescription and they want a solution. It's like, you know what? Most of these issues can be just solved by eating real whole foods for most people. So the first course of action should be that you first come in and you're like, let's track the macros. Let's eat the real food. Let's see if this heals the issue or gets us to our goal. If it doesn't, if you truly are hitting those macro targets, if you are truly doing the strength training, doing the work, and we're not seeing the results, that's when we want to go and look at these other things. We want to look at the blood work. We want to look what's going on in our gut. We want to maybe check out, like, what are our options for hormone replacement therapy? Like, do we want to check out the weight loss drugs? I'm not against Wegovy or, any of the other drugs. I'm really not. I don't think they should be the first line of defense. I don't think that should be what we start with. But I've had clients that have seen success with HRT or these because it allows the inflammation to go down. I actually have clients who are on weight loss drugs for PCOS. And there is a powerful benefit when it comes to inflammation with some of these drugs that these clients have not been able to achieve through eating a whole food diet. And then I have other clients who are like, I'm constantly bloated. And initially we're like, oh, we should do probiotics. But if you have SIBO or an overgrowth of bad gut bacteria, these actually aren't gut dysbiosis. These aren't going to help that. They might actually even make it worse. And you're not going to know that unless you first try that whole foods diet. And if it's not working, then we go to the next line of defense. So oftentimes I have clients and they make these mistakes at not even thinking to look at these outside sources. And when we work with a coach, I can bring these things to your attention. Sometimes clients have hormone issues because they've made all these other mistakes, because they're prioritizing cardio over strength training, because they are under eating. And these are all stressors that are causing cortisol to skyrocket. It is causing their thyroid to not function as we want it to. And sometimes we can heal it through whole food, but sometimes we need a little bit of help from supplements or prescribed medication. So these are the top 8 mistakes that I most commonly see with my clients. So if you are looking to optimize how you look and feel, do you identify any of these mistakes? So if you are interested in working with me, I'll leave details below in the show notes. But I really encourage you guys to first start out with trying to eat real whole foods. So many different ailments can be cured by eating a variety of foods that are packed with nutrients, fiber, protein, complex carbohydrates, heart-healthy fats. Let's move away from the ultra-processed, but do not expect results overnight, okay? By sustainably eating enough food, doing strength training, it takes consistency. Do not expect results overnight. And if you are consistent and you are doing all the things and you're still not seeing results, reach out to an expert, reach out to someone and ask for help. Don't go it on your own too long or longer than you have to without, getting some extra help. It is not all or nothing. It is consistency. The best workout that you're going to do is the one that you do, right? So thank you guys so much for joining in, and I will see you guys right back here next Wednesday. Bye now.